wasn't no guy that you couldn't walk up to and have a conversation with when he was in the street. Anybody out there in the West, red or blue, know they could walk up to Tukey and have a whole conversation with him. You probably wasn't gonna get too close if you was wearing red, but if you caught him somewhere by himself, he talked to you. He's never been a straight asshole, right? He was just a hard knock because he have to wake up the two biggest West Coast clans. You see what Garvey had all these people focusing their attention on the West Coast. We got to wake them up. Them the soldiers we need. We need them motherfucking 40-ounce drinking, weightlifting in the driveway ass motherfuckers to come up out that driveway and not fight each other. We don't know how to do that yet, right? In the 60s and the 70s, because they just waking up. They still got crust in their eyes doing this shit. Like, what the hit him? And they just swinging wild. I call it the invisible man syndrome. We all sitting in the room, invisible man walking around slapping everybody. Everybody hitting the motherfucker next to him. Now we all fighting here, the invisible man laughing his way out the door. We ain't never seen him in there. Because he looked just like us, but we couldn't tell. But now that we know that strategy, that's the key to identifying the enemy. If you don't know what he's using against you, you can't defend yourself against it.
And Rod, speaking about that, like, you just always call them like the dirty Moors, and you was like, you had said like they can really be anybody. I was wondering, like, can these be people like in your family? Because I feel like
it's a book by Malachi York called "Are There Black Devils?" It's another one he got called "We See You Too, Black Devil," right? Then he have another one about the demon seed. It got a picture of a white baby and a black baby on it, or a red baby and a white baby, or something like that on the cover of it. But when you read that book, he tell you these motherfuckers is born in our families. We done married to these motherfuckers. Some of us sleeping with the enemy and don't even know it. And we all thinking because they look like us, they not the enemy. And our ancestors left us messages. And they said, if you get rid of the enemy within, the enemy without cannot harm you. Why in the fuck did they tell us that? There's an internal enemy. The only way I can find him is if I have to go internal to self, make sure I ain't my own enemy first. That means I got to go purge my ego. Right? Once I do that, now I'm starting saying, hey, wait, this motherfucking ego tripping ass motherfucker ain't one of us. Where he come from? Right? I got a friend, when I first met him, I was asking this who's on the yard in the prison. I'm like, who is this nigga? Where he come from? He ain't one of us. And they was like, what you talking about? I said, that nigga not from America. I don't know where that nigga from. He not from fucking America. And they laughing, they cracking up, laughing. So one of the dudes sitting at the table, go get him. Come here, Fuddy. He come over. I said, man, you ain't from America, is you? He say, I grew up here, but we from Sierra Leone. I said, I told you motherfuckers, he ain't one of us. I know a motherfucker ain't us when I see him. And they're like, how you know? I said, I don't know. I just can tell. He different. He's fundamentally different than us. I met people from Kenya, from Nigeria, from Algeria, from Morocco, Tunis, Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, South Africa, from the Congo. Ain't never had one of them say, yeah, our ancestors sent y'all over here. I never heard that one time from none of them. They all tell me the same thing. What make you think you from Africa? Nigga, you from over here. Now, the idiots that come over here, they follow the narrative they give them in the immigration class that we came over on slave ships. But their ancestors over there does not corroborate that bullshit. This is why it's so important when Garvey said create the confraternity, the global brotherhood of the original clans, right? Now Nipsey come along from Eritrea. Everybody from Crenshaw know Nipsey not one of us. He from somewhere else. They don't know where he from, but they know he ain't from over here. But they know he ain't the enemy too. How the fuck y'all know this nigga ain't the enemy when y'all know he ain't from over here? He don't move like the enemy. Instead of going to war with a motherfucker with a different color on, he tell you, hey brother, straighten up the little act, man. We ain't gotta be out here beefing. Who does that in the middle of gangbanging? He was always different. I didn't realize until recently, after his extraction that he was reincarnated Haile Selassie. So now my thing is, hold on, I was suspect of Haile Selassie. Malachi wrote a book called "Is Haile Selassie the Christ?" and he give his bloodline. And he say, see, he is not a Jew. He is not a descendant of the Jews, right? So he's telling us in the book, the bloodline of Selassie is an organic earth being that's not from the tribes that we fighting, but he fighting the same fucking enemy, right? So once we studied Haile Selassie, it took us back to what Garvey said, African root science, the science of ether, the ether utopia of the Western Ethiopia, which is today modern day Saharan desert Africa, right? Sub-Saharan Africa was called Zululand or Swaziland. The Zulu literally mean the people that walk from the sky, skywalkers, right? And so they was the dominant tribe of those lands, and they job, the Watusi, the Zulu, the Dinka, the Mandingo, all these tribes are supposed to be there to protect the little people from the bullying of the shit that was about to go down. So the little people are the San, the Twa, the Pygmy, and some subsets of Bantu, right? So the language began to be broke up over there. The root language is what they call the Niger-Condorfian stock, the linguistics. So when you study the linguistics, it's telling you how the tribes is divided up by language. Then when you study genetics, you see how the tribes is protectorates of other tribes. So you got some tribes, they're supposed to be what we call farmer tribes, right? And they supposed to feed the warrior tribes. The warrior tribes are supposed to protect the farmer tribes. So this is probably how you reach the balance. When they come over, the first thing they do is they catch us farming, they kill us. And then they put a pink motherfucker in the field and he dropped dead in 2 days. So now they can't kill us. They can't use the pink people because the pink people can't handle the conditions of our land because they're not from here. It's the same problem they ran into in Africa. They end up, King Leopold sent Cecil Rhodes to settle the Congo. And they slaughtered 30 million Congolese people when they went. They deforested the same way they did over here. And then they turned around and hired motherfuckers over there to do it. Right? And nobody was none the wiser to what was going on because the clans had fell into what you call disarray. The leadership was took out first. They always have to take the leaders out first. Get rid of the leaders. Now you got a whole bunch of misleaders trying to fight for a position of power. And if you offer them a strategic advantage over somebody they fighting, you become their ally, which become the detriment to both sides because these motherfuckers is not just trying to conquer them. They trying to conquer your ass too. Now, they did the same thing to us. They had motherfucking Apaches fighting Tomahawk and Choctaw and Cherokee. They had us fighting each other over here. For a long time, we didn't know what was going on. Then one day, Noble Ali infiltrated something called the Moorish Zionist Temple and came out and said, hold up, this ain't us. Who is these motherfuckers? David Walker wrote about it before him. There's some strangers on the land, man. Who the fuck is these people? Then, this is what was out cold. The melanated ones that look like us would pretend to be slaves to the pale slave that they brought over in our presence to confuse us. That was the home run right there. That was the height of theatrical performance. They dressing down, taking off their Quaker clothes, putting on sackcloth so they can look like they struggling. Remember, I know your work's in your poverty, but you rich. You faking ass motherfucker acting like you ain't got no money. And all the time, you in the community undercutting us and tearing us down.
Oh my gosh, Uncle Rod. So like you be talking about like the town that I moved to a different town, but like the town that I grew up in, I still go there all the time. And we have a female mayor. She's a black woman. And I was telling like my boyfriend, like I be telling him all the time, like I feel like, you know, our town could get what you be talking about, like with the FEMA stuff, like rolling. But I feel like, cause I feel like there is awareness, but I feel like nobody really knows like what to do yet. And I feel like too, it is still a lot of like the dirty moors, like, cause my boyfriend, he worked like in our like we got like a public works like in our town, and it's like, yeah, like okay, you know what that is. So like he was a part of that, and he was like, you know, they would be like gossiping and shit like in there. So like he was like basically he found out that our mayor is with a man or whatever, and he's a black man, but like he was saying like he kind of be like trying to undermine her or like put like stuff in her head to like basically make the wrong decisions for our town, because like he's also like I think like an attorney or some other like thing in the community. So like she trusts him, I guess, and like he was saying like he kind of be like leading her astray or trying to, and I was just like I don't know, like that was just so like I feel like that's so crazy because it really do be like anybody. But that was also like a question that I had, like how do you even get past that? Like how do you think I feel like it's kind of what you were saying, just more like the general awareness. But I don't know,
Yeah,
I'd be
so
wondering
we
like a
we was using $5 Indians to put them on notice and serve eviction notices. Turnabout is fair play. The same motherfucker way they use pale faces to pretend that they ain't the ones behind this shit. We sent the same motherfuckers back to them to tell them to get off our shit.
that's what they did in
Now, the
Georgia.
most critical city to put on notice was Atlanta. That's because of the Trail of Tears and Andrew Jackson. Everything that came after that is on notice. Atlanta being put on notice, notice to agent is notice to principal. By putting Atlanta on notice, everybody that came across that Appalachian Mountains is already on notice. So you don't have to go every city. You got to get the key cities, right? In certain places, we've sent in $5 Indians to put people on notice because our people so traumatized from the Conjure War, we freeze under confronting these people now. We don't know what to do. Cancel the fucking contract. Abandon the fraud and cancel the contract. That's the only remedy in law. When the fraud is discovered, the only remedy is the abandonment defense. If you discover the fraud and you say, well, I'm going to wait 2 days, you've been in that fraud for 2 days actively participating, knowing full well you participating in the fraud. That make you the same guilty as the motherfucker committing the fraud because now you are what's called a party to the crime. But in the abandonment defense, hold up, this ain't right. I'm deuces. I ain't participating in that fuckery. And you leave. And they gone home with the fraud. They not going to stop the fraud because we walk away from it. They ain't going to stop the fraud until it's enough of us walk away from it that it doesn't work no more. And we pretty much there. We've been using $5 Indians the same way they used them when they came over here. We've been running them motherfuckers right up their ass. And now they don't know what to do because the same motherfuckers they used to oppress us is breaking us free because of the trauma we went through. We not psychologically equipped to stand up to the man. So don't worry about it. I'm psychologically equipped for that shit. I run up in that motherfucker and snatch him up off the bench from behind the counter at the police. I don't give a fuck. But my chief told me I'm brain banging and I don't have to like this shit. I'm just good at it.
Right.
You got anything else before I take another call, sweetie?
I did have really one last thing, and it was kind of off of what I was talking about. It was really about the kids. I recently started like working. I don't have like any background with like kids at all, and low key like growing up like from like the relationship that I had like with my mom and my younger brothers for a while, I did not like children. Like I didn't want to have kids, nothing like that. But like in like the middle of high school, I don't know, something had just switched, and like I just love children. Like, oh my gosh, I would like how you be coming about the kids. That's how I be coming about the kids. Like anybody's kids. I don't even care if I don't know you. Like, but I started working at this school recently, just like as a job, and that ringing in the ears that you be talking about, like I would get that at home sometimes, but it hadn't been happening for a while. And then once I started working like at the school, I would be sitting in the classroom like with the kids, and I'm an aide, so like I just sit with them like and help with the teacher really.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be journaling and stuff like I'd be journaling just like in my book and stuff, and I would just have that ringing like in my ears, like, and it would be kind of like piercing, but a very low volume, and then it would kind of go away. But I noticed it really only happens when I'm at the school with the kids, and also since I started working there, like everybody's just been like, "You're amazing with the kids. Like you should do this like as your job." Like, but I be telling them like I couldn't work like as an actual teacher, like, and what we have set up right now as a school, like I would need us to have that new system set in place before I could do some shit like that. Cause like I feel like the school systems that we have now is really just like mini prison systems. Like the way that they set up is really military.
It is.
Like just so it's not meant for.
To go back to, we never had schools before. Schools and prisons is the newest social things on our land. We didn't have schools. We used to learn in Big Mama's kitchen, on Big Papa's barn. We had different method of teaching. It was, if you read Neely Fuller, he called it the open air method. The open air method is way more effective in teaching our children than the four walls method. The four walls method is school, which comes from the Yiddish word shul, which comes from the Hebrew word sheol. Yeah.
That shit is hell for them kids. And I'm like, I'm not to cut you off, but as an adult, like the other adults be in there and they'll be like, yeah, are you having a rough day? Or like, and I'm just like, why did y'all pick this job? Like y'all hate these kids, really.
It ain't the kids.
And I'm like, why do y'all have this job? Like I really love them kids, and don't get me wrong, some of them kids, you know, you do need a little extra time with them, but I feel like it's hell exactly that. So like the way that it's set up, they can't get that one-on-one care that they really need to help them. It's just like, this is a problem child and they just need to be dealt with, or their parents need to deal with them. And I'm like, that's not, I don't know, that really bothers me. And I'm like, I don't know, that really
Elijah Muhammad's description of a black devil is an original man who acts other than himself, right? So when you're looking at what he's saying, the school system teaches you to act like you from Europe. Why the fuck I want to act like I'm from Europe when I'm from over here, right? Why do I want to wear buckle heels when I'm more comfortable wearing moccasins? That make this shit make sense. So if we become devil by behaving other than our true self, their school system teaches us how to behave like they want their children to behave. This is why they are on what they call fast forward to the.
Kids don't even need all that.
Hell, they shouldn't even be talking about nothing sexual until right before puberty. They don't need sex education in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. What the fuck wrong with you people? They want to know about, boys want to know about cars and trucks and dogs and shit in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Girls want to know about how to do my hair, teach me how to make my makeup on, put my fingernails on, but they ain't thinking about fucking. Right? Girls is trying to learn how to primp so they know how to be pretty when they older. Boys want to learn how to, you know, do masculine release things. You know, they want to ride in the rodeo and shit. They got us thinking that that's a pale man. I mean, we invented that shit. Look, the Apaches was the first ones that used to do what they call underbelly riding in war. They slide around that horse, you won't even know that the horse is coming, got people on them because they under the fucking horse, riding him from underbelly. How in the fuck do you do that? Right? But they had that shit to a science. And now they telling us that Buffalo Bill Cody, who really ain't that guy they be showing us the pictures of, he really looked more like the picture of Bass Reeves than the picture that they showing us of Buffalo Bill. But okay, you want to whitewash history, go ahead, whitewash history. But when you find out the baddest motherfucking horsemen that ever trained horses, break horses, they all look like us. They called us cowboy because they didn't want to call us man. Hey, boy, go fetch my cow. What? How we going to get the cow if we ain't riding the fucking horse? We ain't gonna run that motherfucker down on our feet, right? And I was listening to Dick Gregory talking about how he scolded Bob Marley about that song Buffalo Soldier.